Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mason Cox Show. Today we've got a special guest, a very good friend of mine who I'm excited and I'm sure he's a bit nervous to be into this fan on the podcast, but we'll go through his resume. He's got Dancing with the Stars contestant. I know that is the highlight of your career, mates, but there is other things you did do with footy. You're two-time All-Australian, Collingwood's best first-year player in 2005, Collingwood leading goal scorer on 4 occasions, Collingwood best and fairest 2007, 2010 Premiership player, and the big one I know you're super proud of, the 2011 NAB Cup champion. It's a really good resume, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast to start off. So welcome, Travis Cloke.
Thanks, mate. Fun fact, 3 grand finals we played in 6 months.
Yes.
There was a win, a lose, and obviously another win of the NAB Cup. So there was only like 10 of us to do it, mate. It's pride and joy to my cover, the NAB Cup Premiership Medallion. Yeah, it's one to always get.
You're still hanging on to that, eh?
I actually don't know where it is, but yeah.
You got medallions for it.
You get medallions, man.
Wow. Did you ever, because I know back in the day, if you kicked one like beyond 50 or something, you got to like donate. Yeah. You got to donate like $1,000 to your local footy club. My local
footy club, very thankful, mate, because I can't kick inside 50, so I used to kick them from outside, and they made some good coin.
How much money did you make for them, you reckon?
Enough.
Yeah. Enough. They've got plenty of footballs there. Well, man, we'll get into it. I'm going to start with something. We'll get into the football career, but in March of 2020, your career was really at a crossroads, and Dancing with the Stars judge Craig made it official. Craig made it official by saying, I think both couples are absolutely terrible for different reasons. I have to pick the best one, I think, out of them. For me, yes, Damie, awful to be in with, but you tried to collect yourself. I think hard choreography lays with the woman in a particular sense. For that reason, I'm voting Damie and Shay, which meant see you later, Trav.
It was a sad moment, mate. But
how was that feeling?
I've been shut down a few times, so on national TV, no, but gee, that was so much fun, Dancing with the Stars. If you ever get an opportunity, do a reality TV show. Maybe not do dancing, because I don't think you could dance either.
What would you say I should do?
Oh, SAS. Oof. That's up on my to-do list.
I reckon you'd be really good at it, though.
Yeah, I need time. I don't have time. I'm a family man, kids, working.
We have Matt Preston's going on to, he was on the podcast, and he's going on Dancing with the Stars this week. I think this year.
He's got rhythm, though. He can move. Yeah.
Did you have no rhythm whatsoever going into it?
I got 2 left feet, mate. Like, I am useless.
Oh, gosh. It was like 5 hours a day training. I remember you telling me when this happened.
I was back working at the club doing development. I was the only one on the show to have a full-time job, and I'm dancing full-time.
Ed Cavalier, not a full-time job?
Well, he took the piss out of people, all right? That's what he does. Bo Ryan was too busy traveling around the world filming his show as well. So we had good fun on set, don't get me wrong, but Ed is one of the funniest guys I've met, and he does not work, no.
No, it doesn't work.
He's like doing this. This is his job. This is not a job, man. This is fun.
This is good fun.
Yeah.
This is good fun. We'll get into it, mate. There's a lot to happen here. You've done a lot in your career. It's not only yourself, your family's got a lot of history. And I'll talk to a few people down the road. You know, you've had a few people I know over the years that we have mutual friends of. And one person, I won't name names, but he told me about a work experience was the first real time he had met you, and you're doing equipment management with Disco.
Yes, I was like a young 14, 15-year-old young pup, mate.
He told me you did fuck all. It's literally quote-unquote what he said.
I don't know who you got it from. So I worked with Neil Baum, right? Baum, he was a footy operation.
Very respectable human.
Yeah, a great guy, and I still love him, but he used to tell me, it's like, it's lunch, Trav. And I was like, it's 9:30, mate. And he's like, no, you're on lunch break, off you go. And this is where at Vic Park at the time, I'm like this 14, 15-year-old kid in Collingwood going, where do I go, what do I do? I used to just walk to the fish and chip shop and sit there for 3 or 4 hours and wander back again. Training would start, I'd go kick footies with the boys, and that was my work experience for 2 weeks. So,
do you get paid much?
Yeah, $5 a day.
$5 a day?
Yeah. I think it worked out all right. They gave me a contract in 2 years' time. But yeah, I did nothing. Rowan Bounds was working at the club, so I used to hang out with him. He's giving you all the inside.
The guy.
Not much has changed, to be honest. Like, let's be honest. I don't work too much. I work just to survive, and that's about it now, mate.
Well, there's a lot. We'll go into that side of it because you are working. We're at Essendon Football Club right now, which is kind of the arch enemy. Yeah, it's very interesting to be in their parking lot. We'll go back to. I want to ask you what your favorite football memory is, because we'll go into the full kind of career and everything else. But I want to just start this off with one of your favorites.
Oh, you can't go past obviously a premiership. Like, that's a good one. But sentimental, like I did play one game with both my brothers. So that was pretty nice to have. For mum and dad, like for them to see the three of us running out, like that's good. But a premiership's still better, let's be honest.
Your mom was the most lovely human too, by the way. Shout out to mothers on Mother's Day last week. But I sat next to your mom at a football game maybe a few years ago, I think. And she was
shut up about you, mate.
She chewed my ear off for a whole game. I barely got a word in. She was so lovely. She was giving me financial advice. She was telling me to buy houses.
Well, I think she came on the other week. She must have seen you somewhere. She's like, I've told Mace to buy a house. I'm like, Mum, he's doing his own thing. He's old enough to make his own right and wrong choices.
She's so lovely.
Yeah, Jules, she's a good lady. She means well. She's got a heart of gold. Now she's a full-time babysitter, mate. So she's trying to look after you as well.
That's it. She's got a third kid. She didn't even want.
Mate. I've got 4 Sim. I'm one of 5. You're the 6th, mate. You jump in line.
We'll go into your dad, David Cloke, played for 17 years, 2 premierships of Richmond. And I've got to ask the question because he played for Richmond and Collingwood, but obviously your brothers all played for Collingwood. Why is the reason that you chose Collingwood as a family over Richmond, the team you were successful with?
We don't have time for that. But yeah, Dad played 200 for 2+ for Richmond, 120 for Collingwood. So technically on the numbers, like we should have favoured Richmond, but for some reason we all end up at the Pies. The reason I went to Collingwood was they were transitioning from Big Park to the Holden Centre at the time. Richmond was shit house, like let's be honest, they were at the bottom of the ladder. Collingwood were kind of on the rise. So it made a bit more sense, even though Richmond actually offered more financially benefit to go there, like apartments, houses, that type of stuff. But I thought the fun of playing with me brothers was more important at the time. Maybe looking back now, financially it would have been better. But footy did all right for me, so I'm still happy, mate.
And how was so you were 17 when you started playing, which is kind of like wild and the idea of football now. Like, yeah, you were still year 12, and then like I don't know if you were 17 when you played Anzac Day in your first game.
You have to turn 18 by round 1. So I was March 5th. I was 18.
So you were right on the cusp.
And then I played Anzac Day the 25th of April. So I'm 18 and 5 weeks before I played my first game of footy. So
the debut game, both debuted Anzac Day. How's the feeling?
Well, I had blonde hair, mate. Like
You're totally different human.
Yeah, like totally. Red boots, blonde hair. I think I even wore my socks up because Mick, we did the minute silence.
Yeah.
And the bounce goes and Mick sent a message out like, pull your socks up, look like a footballer. And I was like, oh,
what?
Shit. He's watching me. So I whacked my socks up, and for the first 20 minutes, the socks are up. Then all of a sudden they're down again around the ankles. So
did every player have to have their socks up?
Well, Mick's mentality was like, look like a footballer, play like a footballer, like fake it till you make it. And
people make fun of me for socks up now.
Yeah, but you're a ruck, mate. You wear shin guards, so you're a weird character anyway. So I didn't wear shin guards, mate. I'm already big enough and thick enough. I don't need to look thicker by wearing socks. Yeah, that was Mick's mentality.
So that was the number one thing you took out of that day, is Mick telling you to pull your socks up.
Exactly. So I was petrified to never wear them down again, but after a while, he let me wear them down. So
70,000 Anzac Day debut. The one thing that comes out of it is pull your damn socks up, Trav.
And then I think that was on a Wednesday or a Thursday that year, and I had to go to school the next day.
That is insane. So you surely come back and you're just king of the class.
No, not really. Like I'd been at school since I was like year 7. People knew me. By the middle of the year or the end of the year, like I had enough of school.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd roll in or use the excuse I've got training, I can't make it to class. But I manipulated my way through year 12, put it that way.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was me in my last year of college. We'll go through because there's some stories about you getting drafted, right? And there's rumors that they drafted your brothers. Your brothers are good players too, but someone told me they mainly drafted your brothers to try to get to you. I don't know if I full 100% believe that, Trav. It's a bit of a pop-up for you.
It is a big bow, don't get me wrong, but hey, who knows? Maybe we'll pop Cam and Jason the way through. But no, both did all right.
Is there any stories from you getting recruited? We talk about Eddie and Derek Hines is at the club. Yep. There was apparently a horse involved at some point. Yeah. Can you give us a little insight?
It sounds like a really weird kink porn, doesn't it? Like you got a deck or a horse, like your house, like what's going on? Yeah, we're sitting around kitchen table, a little bit like this, but a bit bigger, not the fan. But sliding door, little pony nugget. He just like nudges the door open with his nose. Off he goes, wanders inside, just click, click, click. Reaches
Was Eddie in the room?
Eddie's in the house.
Eddie's in the house.
We're in the living room. Yeah, I think it was Eddie, Barmy might have been there, Derek Hine, and maybe Mick. I don't know if Mick was there or not. But yeah, like the powers to be of the footy club back then. We're sitting there, mum, dad, I think my brothers might have been around and like sisters, and all of a sudden this horse like walks through like 15 metres through the kitchen, into the living room, reaches up to the table, grabs an apple, and then just wanders back outside again.
Surely people are looking around like, they were
looking around like, is this a dog? Is it a horse? Like, what is it? Because he's only like Labrador height. He's still kicking around at mum and dad's house.
Oh, is he actually?
Yeah, he's still alive, yeah.
Are you still telling that story to all the different horses back there?
Don't get me wrong, it's grown some legs, the story, like everything else in life, a bit like the Smoke and Shadows, but it's an urban myth now. It's a great one, and you know what? It'll never be like, topped, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I will say this. You said the smoking shadows, and I talked to Locke folks, and he said one of the greatest quotes he heard from you was, "You can't lead a horse to water." Because, Trav, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink.
Yeah, but what's the point of getting these analogies right? Like, that's old school, mate. You got to come up with your own ones. It's modern times, mate. Like
if there's someone that's going to tell me if I can lead a horse to water or not, it's going to be you.
Or I can tell you can lead them to water and you can make them drink. All right? I've done both of them. Sometimes they refuse, but you can just like, come on, mate, a little splash in the face and off you go.
Oh, that's so good. Now, we will get into the farm and the life that you're living now, but I want to ask you, playing alongside your brothers at Collingwood, how was that year? You talk about being one of the best kind of experiences of AFL.
I was 20 when they delisted both brothers. So I won my best and first when I was 20. I think I'm like the fourth or fifth youngest player. I think Dakes actually might knock me back a couple of pegs this year. He might win his first one. But I learnt that year. It was like, it's a business. It's not just a hobby anymore playing footy. So I got told like, hey, by the way, your brothers are delisted. Can you tell them?
You had to tell your brothers?
Well, it was the message. They ended up telling them, but I found out and I was just like, this is something I'm not saying shit to.
So you knew before they knew?
I did, because my meeting was like a couple before them on the exit day. So, and then that afternoon, I found out I win the best and fairest. So at the age of 20, I was like, oh, this is a business, not just a hobby anymore. But at the same time, I had 3 years with both of them. To be blatant obvious, mate, I took Cam's spot, like by coming to the club. So that's what it was. To be honest, I was a better forward than him. So that's why he was a ruck, not a forward, but we took that. But yeah, it was good fun. Like Cam used to drive me to training for the first 12 months because I didn't have my license for a while. So that was good. But Cam, Jason, and I, we're thick as thieves. We still are. We're obviously brothers, but we're best mates. It was fun because you always had someone to have you back, I guess, at a footy club. Footy clubs are amazing places. Different things happen and stuff, but to have your two brothers by your side. We were at lockers 32, 33, 34. So
oh, really?
We could always steal each other's shit. Dad always did our washing, so if you brought the wrong shit, you just hand it over to your brother and go, this is your training top or shorts or whatever. So that made it easy though.
There's rumor your pops came in and gave a spray to I think Cameron, got in trouble for missing something. Your dad came in and gave a spray to some of the Collingwood staff.
Oh, I don't know about that one. No, I don't know. Cam or Dad, I got in trouble for taking someone's parking spot one day, but that was a different story.
That was Purdy's, wasn't it? Yeah. CEO's parking spot. Just decided, he'd be all right.
You should know, mate. I'm like, I need 10 minutes. I got to park the truck somewhere. I'm taking your spot. I'll leave your keys with your receptionist. I've got to chat to Fuxie. Fuxie, I'm going to the city. I've got to pick some shoes up, mate. I'll be back in an hour.
I will say this, though. I've done that many a times. Late at night after games or something like that. But the CEO's car, like out the back?
No, mate. Like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like,
real power move. This is Travis's car.
You couldn't miss it. It was a big black truck as well. So they couldn't just say, oh, this is Coxie's car park there. Everyone's got the same hot car. No, it was a bit different. But there's a few stories, mate. Like, let's be honest. I was a walking billboard for 12 years. And
oh my gosh.
I made footy fun.
Yeah. No, you did more than that. You made it entertaining for a lot of people, and we'll go through a lot of it. But I want to ask you this: what was your welcome to AFL moment? I know you played your first game Anzac Day and whatnot, but
it'd be like you just big crowds. I guess you pull the Collingwood jumper on. Like I think I played on an average of 60,000 people on week to week, so that's pretty cool. But as a kid, like growing up in footy, like Dad played, my brothers played. My uncle's actually an AFL umpire. My mum's father, so my pa was on the board at Richmond. So footy's for the family. Yeah. So for me to pull on an AFL jumper to be a part of it as well was nice tradition. And then now, like I'm a 36-year-old washed up has-been footballer now with a 2-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. Like now my journey is to pass the knowledge on to them and also work in pathways. Like part of my role now is to build a better program for women's football. Yep. So when my daughter gets to an age, if she wants to play football, there's a great industry for her to be part of. So I'm going full circle and I'm enjoying it more now than I ever did as a player.
What's the biggest thing you learned from your family?
They've always got your back, that's for sure. Blood's thicker than water. But at the same time, like you have your ups and downs. You have your times where family shit you. Yeah. Times you don't want to talk to them. But when it's times of bad or of grief, you always fall back to them, no matter how good or bad it is. And I guess that's what it was. Like when I had my fallout of football, like when I actually moved on from the Pies in 16, they were the first people I called and said, I need change, I need to move, or I'm just quitting today. So it was nice to have them there in my corner when I needed. And it was the same 12 months down when I actually made that decision. I was like, I'm done with footy. It's not getting better for me. I'm not enjoying it. I'm out the door. And they were there, you know what? Fine. We're going to support you. So it worked in good. I'm glad I did what I did. My relationships got better with my coaches, my players. The staff at both clubs, because they respected my decision because of it. I was open and transparent with Mick and Bucks into 16 the whole way through the year. They knew where I stood and where I was at. So it was an enjoyable process for the last 18 months of my footy career.
We'll go through it a little bit more in depth, but I want to ask some stuff that happened before then. Like, I feel like you were one of those players loved a big game. Anzac Days, your Carltons.
Yeah, love big games.
Those, like,
the crowd hated me, so it was always more fun.
What's the best game you've enjoyed as far as atmosphere?
Oh, Anzac Day's the best. No better day on the calendar is Anzac Day. Like, you're there because it's fun, passion, the support of what we stand for on Anzac Day.
Yeah.
It's the best. And I guess the lead up, Mick was a motivator. He taught you history about what it was about. Bucks was an educator, so the vice versa, and different personalities, and loved them for different reasons. But Anzac Day's the best game of footy. Now it's pretty much the only game of footy I watch live. Yeah. Now. Do
you go to the game every year?
I don't go. When I say watch live, I watch it on TV.
The horse next to you.
Yeah, I'll not be putting around at the home. But it's a game that I enjoy. Like, even not even like now, or I work at the Enemy of Essendon here, like as such as a player, but it's the beauty of what it stands for.
Yeah. When
we were playing in it, and it didn't matter how good we were or they were, it was always a close game. Queen's birthday was similar. Now, the back end of my career had more meaning, Queen's birthday, because of the MND with the Danaher family. So it meant something that way because what he had given to football. And then you go to the other ones, it's like you always love playing against Richmond. It's the history of the historians that really sell the story of what AFL's about, and they're the games that you love. And then finals, well, nothing better than finals. Geelong, Hawthorn, these type of games we had, especially in like 07, 09, 2010, they were good. 100,000 people cheering, screaming. They're the only moments I remember of my whole footy career. Yeah, like those games.
It's funny how, like, I look back and I think, like, comparatively with your career, my career, and everything else, and it's like those big games, there's so much in between that just kind of filters into the same memory.
It's just fluff.
Yeah. Like, and then you have those big games, those big moments that you enjoy and you soak in. You're like, that's the one I'll remember.
Well, I had one more big game. We haven't talked about it. Like round 1, 2017 against the Pies. So I got the blue jumper on. I'm lined up against
get into it.
My best mate, Benny Reid. We've had dinner like a few times, Reedy and I and Aaron come around, and every so often he's sitting there on the couch. I just airdrop him that YouTube clip of me kicking a goal on him. And he just sits there. I'm like sitting there watching him airdrop, and he sees, and you just see his face drop. He's like, "You're an asshole." I'm like, mate, if we weren't mates, like, that's not funny. Because we're mates, it's funnier. That's up there in my footy moments of like pleasure. But at the same time, it was more why it's pleasurable is like you got Joffa in the goal square for 13 years. He cheers me on and supports me. And then all of a sudden I sink this long bomb and he just sits down and has a sook about it. So to me, it's like bittersweet. It's like, mate, I looked after you for many years and now you're trying to give me shit. Well, you sit back down and enjoy that seat, mate.
I want to bring something out because there's a lot of things that happen in your career, and there's someone right up when, like, I came a bit later into your career when I came here, but like there's been a lot of things that have happened, I guess, away from the field to you personally, and like your residence was shot at in 2009. Like, what happened? Like, what was there? Did you ever find out what happened?
No,
like, or what the reasoning was?
We're not in America. Guns aren't easily acceptable.
I felt at home whenever I heard that. I was like, maybe he's got a little American to him.
No, there's 3 bullet holes or I don't know, punctures through the house, all through windows and stuff.
Trying to get your truck or your motorcycle?
I don't know. Our driveway was like 300 meters long, so you don't know if someone shot it from the street or in our drive or whatever. They found a couple of slugs in the wall in one of the rooms. Yeah,
were you awake? It was in the middle of the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the middle of the night, but we didn't realise till like the next day when you're like, oh, why is that window got a break in it? And then you're like, you look.
So you didn't wake up, nothing?
Nah. We used to have people come and like egg our house and stuff, and there's a few other stories about like following people down the street when they try to smash windows in our house and just said hello to them. But yeah.
What?
Oh, mate, our house used to get vandalised all the time.
Just because you played for Collingwood?
Yeah.
And just people knew where you lived?
It was a family home. We'd been there for 15 years. And
is there a story around you getting your car broken into and windows smashed and spray paint everywhere?
That was when I lived in Richmond, yeah. Yeah, that happened. So many years, mate. Good old HSV Hold'em.
The fact that you just sit here and casually these things happen, you know? It's part of footy. It's like, what? No, it's not.
Some of these cars I didn't own, so I had to ring up Holden and be like, so, mate, I'm really sorry, like, ads... Your car's been broken into again. He's like, mate, that was 2 weeks ago. I was like, well, it's not my fault. Here's the vision of it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I still have like security cameras at home, and I did always growing up. So you got vision of all these little quirky things that happened all the time, and people don't believe it. But I was like, well, I don't need you to believe it. I got the footage of it. So
what's the worst thing someone's done?
6 years, six times in 1 year, I had my car broken into.
6 times in a year?
Yeah. So I lived
outside your house?
That's where I lived in Cremorne, and that's why I moved out of Cremorne.
And that's why you live in Kangaroo Grass?
I'm not there now. I've moved again, but I've moved further.
You moved somewhere else.
Yeah.
We will not devote where that is yet.
I had some weird things, and people are like, how and why does this happen? I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I didn't have a sticker on my car and said, this is Travis Cloke's car, but we're a club. People loved it or they hated us. And that was like my whole motto of life. It was like I lived to be the best version of myself. Yeah. And I enjoyed myself while I did it. And just, I don't know, sometimes shit happened.
So is that the craziest thing? Someone's broken your car 5 times in a year?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
That's insane to me. And you just casually like these things happen. I guess if you were paying for it, it might be a bit different.
Yeah, well, I did have to technically pay for it because I had to drive down the Eastern Freeway with a broken window in the middle of winter.
And that's cold. The trash bag?
No, I got this down packed. You used to be able to put your windsheeter like along the door and then just tie it around your like head stool. So I had it sorted. I knew how to do it.
One of the many lessons you didn't think you'd have to learn from football.
No, I got some life lessons. I'm a very good life motivator, that's for sure now, teaching you how to get through shitty incidents like that. Oh gosh, I don't know how you deal with it. We'll go into the Premiership year. Can you talk to us through from start to finish, kind of how the feeling was around the club, going into finals, winning a grand final? We just missed out like in 2009. I think it was Geelong or Hawthorn, one of the two like beat us and they went through. I think it was 9. I think Geelong won.
Yeah.
So we had like good form, good mentality going through. 2010, like we had a mindset of like, no matter how good or bad we played, you give me 10 minutes and we'll beat you. That's literally what the boys believed. Like all you needed was 10 minutes and we did it. And
turn it around,
sometimes it was for the better of us and sometimes on the worst. Like sometimes we played bad footy and then all of a sudden we just turned it on and off we went. So that was nice. But it was a journey. Like we probably knew we always had that granny in us after the draw, purely because we addressed it. We went to the function after the draw and grand final. We trained as normal and we recovered really well and off we went. Well, I think half time we knew we had it in the bag as well, so the bit of enjoyment factor.
Such a great feeling.
It was, and looking back at it now, like I was, 23 or something like that, so I didn't really enjoy even the celebrations and what it meant. You probably just thought, it'll happen again.
Yeah.
And that's probably the regret I have is thinking it would. And like, to be honest, we got there pretty close in 11, but there's no guarantees in footy, and I probably should have enjoyed myself a bit more even after the game with the guys and not celebrated, but just soaked it all in a little bit more.
Yeah.
But no, it's the one thing I really love about footy is every year now we catch up.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. You don't see each other for a whole year and you come together, we catch up in December and it's the best time. Yeah. Guys come, share stories. Kids have got other kids now telling us about it and what they're doing in business. So it's a real connection piece and forever we'll have that day to share.
That's so good. I love to get into people's heads whenever like momentous things happen right in their career. Siren goes, drawing grand final. You probably don't even know what the hell to do next. What's going on? What's going through your mind?
In the draw?
Yeah. Like whenever it happened, like the siren goes and it's tied.
I reckon Maxie was kind of running around going like, it's 5 minutes each time. And I was like, I don't know what's going on.
He's trying to prep boys. Hey, we got to be ready.
But I think there was definitely like a minute or of like, everyone's like, what do we do? But then it was like, regroup, off we get. And that was what it was. So it was good. I think it came from Maxie in the end or someone from the bench to say like, that's it. Like, just get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Did you have a post-match function or something?
Yeah, we did. We went to like,
so they book in the Crown after, don't they?
They had a big function on with like 500-600 people there. So we still went to it. As we did, like guys might have had a wine or whatever, but like still went to it. St Kilda chose not to. They actually had the function still, but none of the players went. Yeah. So I think for us, it was like we actually like, you mourned it, the draw, and then we could regroup on the Monday, Tuesday, go again. I don't know, hindsight is like it worked for us. Maybe it wouldn't have worked in beauty, but footy's a weird game, man. Like, fuck, who knows? Like, it could have pissed down with rain and you get done. The ball might have bounced a certain different way in that draw and Stevie Mill kicks a goal. Yeah. The heater doesn't smother the ball. Like, all these type of things we can talk about forever and a day, but in the end, it was a draw and we come back 7 days later. It cost me a fortune, though, because I had to move me holiday.
Oh.
Mate,
you had to rebook the flights.
I did. I was like, I was going.
Is that what you're most upset about?
I was only going to Bali. I was only going to Bali, so it was all right. But yeah, I lost like 4 nights accommodation, flights. It's 10 grand, mate.
I think it was worth it, mate. I think if you'd take the thing as a fool.
Nah, it's all right, mate. It's worth it. It's probably the best money I've spent my whole career. I've wasted money before. That's not a waste.
That's not a waste. Where's your Premiership medal now? Is it at home?
No, it's at the footy club.
Dead set.
Yeah, with my boots, my glove, my jumper, and another medallion. I donated to the club for their 10-year reunion.
Yeah.
Well, we're in 2023 now, so it's been there for 3 years.
Yeah. It's getting renovated, so I don't know where the hell it is.
Yeah, maybe it's in a box. I don't know. But someone's got it. They can look after it. I'll get it in due time. Like, I don't need it yet. I'm living in a caravan. So, to be honest, it'd be in a box at my property. So, it's best that someone else looks after it for now.
We talked about this before. Travis is actually living in a caravan at the moment. He's renovating the house, ladies and gentlemen. He's going okay.
Life's not tough. We've chosen to do this.
He's chosen to do it. He's going to have a beautiful house once it's all done. But how wild. So, okay. So I've got to ask this because you brought it up. The glove. Everyone talks about this thing. Who dubbed you out?
I think
there's rumors that
I think a GWS player might have. I did take 16 marks and I think 6 contested the day he had a sook. But
let's go.
Anyone can wear the glove still.
Really?
So I wore it because my integrity in my hands, my thumbs, don't look at them now, they're dirty. I've been working, man. But my thumbs used to slip out. My fingers still do. I'll have arthritis in due time in my hands. So that's the reason I wore it. Did it help me? Yes, it did. Anyone that knows me, I'm a sweaty pig. So to be honest, on hot days or wet days, no, it didn't help me because it used to like reversal. But I did have 2 different versions. There was a leather one, and then obviously there was the one that did have the sticky fingers. But the one that Hutchie put on that day on the footy show wasn't the glove. It was a model of the glove, but that was actually the NFL version. So it was a very sticky one. But it definitely did work. But it didn't help my goal kicking, that's for sure. But I think Phil might have got a bit angry that day. I kind of pulled him apart. So
this is a real OJ Simpson type scenario here. It's the glove doesn't fit as it is.
To be honest, I took the idea off Adam Goods. Adam Good wore it, and it was the exact same glove that Goodsy wore for many years.
And no one said anything.
No one said anything. I just got in trouble. Well, originally before it got banned or looked at, the club used to fine me $500 a week because it had a Nike tick on it. And obviously I was sponsored with Nike for years, and they still look after me. Still Nike, good man. Still a big man. Coincidence.
Don't worry, they sponsor the club, so you can talk about them.
I thought I'd better take my Essendon polo off to be here. But so the club used to fine me because at the time we were with Star Athletic.
Yeah.
And Star tried to make a glove for me to wear, but it just wasn't up to what I wanted, and it fell apart. So the club said, well, you can either remove the tick from the glove and put a Star Athletics on it, or you'd be fined $500. So I said, well, I'll take the fine. And I remember talking to Nike about it, and they said, don't worry about it. Like,
just paid for it.
Next time your contract's up, just whack another 15, 20 grand each year in your contract. Well, that's what I did. And Nike loved me for it anyway, and they still do. So
it's a real little MJ kind of like pay for the fine every single time you wear too many colors on your shoes. You know?
I've heard about this stuff. So it's
maybe
not
you
quite
started this, Trav. Like, you're the MJ of the AFL.
No, not at all. But it was like, people say, oh, that's a lie. I was like, well, I can give you my deduction bill from the footy club. It says fine glove. But
you put the description of that one.
I think I might have claimed it as a tax deduction at one stage, but I tell you, I don't look it up. But I had a lot of weird moments in my career, that's for sure.
I'm amazed that the club's finding you, not the AFL. Because whenever I wore my goggles, I have to Sharpie out the sides of them because the AFL doesn't want any branding on them.
Well, technically, it's tools of the trade. You can't see without it, can
it's
you?
a medical thing.
Now you look handsome with glasses.
I look terrible.
I have glasses now, but I only use them for my laptop because I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And I still don't wear them. But anyway, wearing glasses in a game of footy, though, Coco, it's very interesting.
It's different. I think everyone knows I like to do things differently. That's pretty well known.
We do, don't worry.
You're giving shit about me for my celebration last week.
But yes, mate, like it's very composed. Like, mate,
you want the double cobras? Yeah. Is that what you want? So if I kick a goal this weekend, I give the double cobras. You just go.
Who are you playing? Carlton, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
Oh,
couple of snags, mate. You'll be right.
I can't say anything, Trav. I can't say anything pre-game. You know how these things work.
You're getting dropped after your career best game. Is that what it is?
You never know. You never know, mate. We'll go into 2011. I want to ask you about this because Collingwood was 22-3, and one of your best years of your playing career. How was the feeling then? Like you have the confidence going, the team's going really well. You're kind of like the image of the Collingwood Football Club. And I'll tell people this all the time because you played as the main forward in the biggest club in the country in the most scrutinized position. I don't think people understand kind of everything that comes with that.
What do you think? I retired at the age of 30, man. Like, mentally, it took a toll on me in the end. But no, it was like as a 23, 24-year-old like boy, I wasn't a man then, I was still a boy. I thought it was the best.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mentally didn't mature till I was like 27, 28. And then I realized like, what am I doing this for? This is not who I am as a person. When I used to pull the jumper on and cross the line, like it was my alter ego. And that's, to be honest, that's what beat me up by the age of 30. And that's why I retired at such a young age, because I didn't have the mental resilience to go again. So I didn't realize what it was doing to me by being that role model or being that, I don't know, picture of the biggest club in the nation. So looking back at it now, like I should have done things to probably better resource myself with the mental tools or resilience. Had better things to do away from the footy club as well. Like everything I did was around football. So I lived and breathed it. I didn't realize till maybe I was like 26, 27, I was like, there's other things to do.
Yeah, you have to have your
And that was release. Probably now in what I do in life and in coaching is like, no, it's all about managing. I don't refer to myself as a coach. I'm a mentor. I want to help educate on and off. But I don't look back at it and regret anything. And that's the best thing. I love my footy career for what it was, my childhood for what it was. And now where I am now is when I retired at 30, this transaction and next phase has so far been the most enjoyable. I've got married. I've had 2 kids. I'm starting to build now a brand of who I am and doing it authentically. I'm not being who other people thought I was. Like I had some of the best cliches I ever said in my footy career. And this is the smoke and shadow stuff because I was trying to be someone I wasn't. Yeah. Now, you know what? I'll say stuff and I'll learn it and I'll still make mistakes. Yeah. But this is who I am now, my brand of being authentic. And I guess now the modern day of athletes, we're seeing more of it because they're realizing you can't conform to what the norm is, because the norm isn't normal anymore. No. We see that in society more and more and more, but at the same time, I will stuff up. I will make good decisions and bad decisions. My wife's the first person to tell me when I do good and bad, but I love her for that as well because she holds me accountable now. So life's pretty good now.
Wait till the kids start doing it.
Well, they already do. Scarlett's 5 and Archie's 2.5, and they already tell me, Dad, no. And I was like, come on, mate, I can't be losing arguments to a 2-year-old. But no, I roll over and admit defeat pretty easy with the kids. They've got me wrapped around their finger.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful, man. I think one thing people don't probably look at you and realize is kind of whenever I first came in, you were kind of this person. I'd never really experienced anything. And I was kind of similar to what you were, kind of in that younger years of not grown into a man yet. And like you'd gone through that kind of the whole process of what you're going through. And I was like, fuck, man, this guy is so in tune with what's happening and something like I can't even fathom having to go through. And then it's like, I think of how many people since you went through that have been able to, you know, you talk about like Tom Boyd and stuff who went through his kind of thing and every other kind of player that's come out and had their kind of mental health issues. Like that was something that people didn't do before you, I feel like. Yeah. And like you had to take that really hard like smash of media criticism and everything else. And people don't understand exactly how it, you know, took a toll on people before now that we get to this point now where people, I guess, are more understanding of it.
So 16, I leave the Pies that year. I think it was the year you actually got your first game, Anzac Day. It was the first time in my whole career I'd been dropped. So to allow you to have a game, it's all right. Like looking back, what a decision. Like Collingwood faithful, thank me. But for me, it wasn't a reality, but it was more like perspective in my life to go like, what do I want to do and where do I want to go? Like I already knew that year, like I was up with contract, I had another year to go. I was like, what does next year look like for me? What do I want to do? And this is as a 28-year-old. I'm like, what do I want to do in footy? I was like, to be honest, I should have been in the peaks of my powers of my career, but I was mentally drained. And I didn't know any of this because we didn't talk about mental health and not depression, like resilience, about balance. These things weren't talked about. So for me at that age and being naive, I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until I actually left Collingwood that I started to do other things and do things differently. Like even conversation before like getting dropped with with Bucks and Eddie was like, what does my future look like? And even for them, they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, do I progress past this career of this, like at the age of 30, does my contract go further? What do I do? Like looking back at it, I should only retired 2-3 years ago instead of 7 years ago. But I don't change anything now. Like I'm thankful I did what I did. I went through what I did because now I realize it was normal. If I've kept continuing going through that and forcing myself to do it, like I don't know where and what I would have ended up doing. Like I wasn't in a bad place, but at the same time, I didn't enjoy footy. I remember at the Dogs, like I loved my time at the Western Bulldogs. Had a successful 6 months transition, really enjoyed it, got to know some good players. started playing good footy. On my 250th game, which was on Good Friday, I broke my chest, my intercostal, so my sternal. So Zach Zeeble lined me up and broke it on me. So technically thanks to him, I realised like life's better than just playing footy. So I had 6 weeks off with that to rest up. And through that, I started to transition and realise, well, what does next year look like? I was still contracted, but I was like, footy's not really for me anymore. The love, the drive that you need as a professional athlete wasn't there. Yeah. So when I rushed back to play because I wanted to play footy, I couldn't do what I used to do because of the injury I had. Yeah. And then that probably was a bit of a spiral for me to realise, like, this is not really it. End of the season comes, the Dogs say, mate, you still got 12 months. We want you to play. What do you want to do? And I was at this stage, I hadn't really thought too much about it. Yeah. And then it got to like October. We were chatting like list lodgement's got to be done. And I retired on October 31 or October 30th at like 4:58 and list lodgement's at 5 o'clock. Jeez. 3 days later, my daughter's born. So to me, the realisation of why I retired was because, you know what, I want to do the next transition of my life. And that is, you know what, Scarlett's going to, at this time, Scarlett was going to be born. Yeah. Becky and I just been married, 10 months. Life was different and I wanted to put my time and effort into that. And looking back at it now, it's the best thing I ever did. Yeah. I loved my footy time as a player, but now I love the next phase even more. As a father, as a husband, now as a mentor, as a coach, as a hobby farmer, like these type of things, mate. You can't miss them. So I'm really thankful for what footy did, but I'm so thankful for this next phase and next, I know, whatever it looks like for me.
It really does seem like you're really at peace and happy, and I'm so happy for you, man.
I've only been to 2 Collingwood games since I retired, mate.
It's pretty wild, eh? What games were they?
I only went to one of them back, just after COVID. No.
Was involved?
One of them was grand final day last year, and I did leave before the grand final started because I coached the kids beforehand and left. But the other one was it was a game only went because it was the president's luncheon. I was sitting behind glass, so it's a bit nicer. And I actually didn't watch a minute of the footy. I sat the whole day there talking to Mick Malthouse, and we just talked rubbish and caught up. So to be honest, I should get back more to catch up with some old friends and old teammates, but footy just doesn't have time for me to sit and watch a 3-hour game of footy now, especially when you're working it. Last thing I want to do is now go watch you guys run around and
more work
and support the enemy.
Well, I want to go back because we briefly talked about this, and this is something that I kind of went into this interview wanting to chat about this because I've never actually talked to you about it. Yeah. And it's that 2016 stuff whenever I played my first game and you originally got dropped. I was scared shitless of you. I remember coming back to the club thinking like, I'm going to get my head bashed in by this man. Like, and then I remember the day I came back, you were so like loving and kind and just like, said congratulations. And like, you had no reason to like say, you know, congratulations, you random fucking American who has no idea what he's doing. It was kind of a moment of like, just, I don't know, like admiration for me of like you putting aside kind of everything that was going on and being a genuine fucking human.
So footy's different. It's a team sport and we're meant to be like so supportive and whatever, but at the same time you're competing against one another. And that's technically that. Like we would have trained for months on end together against each other to be better. And I would have taught you different tricks that I know. So for me as an athlete to be disappointed for someone that I've worked with to get a game, in my eyes is pretty poor on my behalf. So that's why I always like tried to be the other way. I was like, no, compassion's great. Like supportive of someone else's dreams, being around it. Did I realize at the time that was what I was doing? Probably not, to be honest. Yeah. I was probably bitter as all hell inside. But at the same time, I was like thankful to see like a friend perform and do well. Like I remember kicking the goals and I think he kicked 2 on the day and had 15, like an outstanding debut. Pretty similar to mine, don't worry about it. But it is like, if you're not like appreciative of your teammates getting opportunities. I got my first game of football with a close friend of mine, Anthony Rocker, went down with an injury. So it's bittersweet. We're a competitive sport, but at the same time, it happens. It was probably just more of a shock because I'd never been dropped before in my career. That's like 13 years and you're like, this doesn't happen. But the reality is it's probably the best thing that happened for me. I remember I didn't go to the game. I remember we just moved from living in town to buying a property. To be honest, I reckon I had 7 bonfires going that day. So I was having a really good day. But yeah, great day. I refreshed. I got all that anger out. That's why so I could come on the Monday and give you a hug and say congratulations. So it's, I don't know, it's probably something that never has been spoken about. And to be honest, it probably hasn't really been something I needed to talk about because I know what footy's about. Yeah. And this is the thing, you got to be accepting of what other people do. And now I sit back as a retired player of the club and I look now going, you know what, that was the handing of the baton or the transition of of your career, and you look back now, it's like when they were sitting in a bus talking about the Mason Cox show, like how things have changed.
I've got you on as a special guest. Yeah. No, it's very interesting because I think like there's moments of like you talk about like Pebs and then yourself and then like myself and then Brody and like now I'm looking at now and like I'm kind of towards the back end of my career. I'm kind of looking at who's going to be that person, I guess, to be that next, I guess, like, you know, I guess forward or rock or whatever it may be, big guy essentially of Collingwood. And it's interesting, like, like whenever you put yourself back and you look at other people that have done it before you and now you're in that position, you're going, fuck, now I get why he felt that way or why he was acting that way or why he was so nice. And I feel like I need to do that, you know, and make sure I give the same kind of credit to the next person. It's kind of like you're a bit of a father figure at times with career stuff.
Definitely
but
don't use me as a father figure. That's all right.
Because I remember after, like I'll never forget you and Jesse White would just go Monday after games, you'd come in and it would be Bill Dav and he'd go, yep, go run like 500s or 400s. And you two would just go dead sprints, like dead sprints around the oval after a full game, just cooking. And there's no chance anyone was keeping up with you. It was just like you were just both letting your anger out and just smashing 400s or whatever it was, like just insane. And yeah, there was just so many things I feel like I learned over my years playing next to you. And like, I'm so appreciative to have a bit of a mentor like yourself as one, because
I only worked hard because I had to work off the food that I ate on the weekend, right?
Well, I've been told you actually this is your pre-game meal, fish and chips. Is this true?
Hamburger of the lot, chips and dimmies, tater cake, yes. Yeah, 100%. And ice cream.
And ice cream. Yes. This is what, oh my gosh, someone told me, I think Pendle told me this. He goes, the one thing you have to know is he can finish a tub of ice cream quicker than any other person you could possibly fathom.
Still is on my menu in the freezer. Tubs, connoisseur, 1 litre tub.
What flavor we got?
I'm all over it, like all of them. But you only buy them when they're on sale because they're like $14 and they're on sale for $7. You're like 6 of them in the trolley, off you go. There's my week's ice cream. Yeah, I'm all over it. You don't, like, this is a fun fact. Ice cream, you don't buy low fat or any of these. You got to get the full cream, all the flavors, because you're eating it for the enjoyment.
Exactly.
If you want all this like healthy stuff, go have frozen yogurt or something else. Like, I still now like smash my ice cream, and Becky like looks at me and like repulsed by it. She's like, how and why? But it's my guilty pleasure.
Are you a whole tub in one setting?
Yeah, because there's no point. There's no point wasting. Like if there's a little bit, it's like, what are you gonna do with it?
Depressing the next time you open it. You're like, I want more.
If you do leave a little bit, you got to leave like 3 tubs with that much, so you can like combine it. So you got like a full tub that like
3 tubs. Yeah. Do you have like a whole freezer just of ice cream?
Oh, there's a tray. Like, there's a tray with just like ice cream and desserts. I like my ice creams and desserts.
Oh, good. Now, can I bring this back? I want to take this back to Mick Malthouse. Now, 2012, right? You have a really good year. Mick goes and gets moved on. Now, you sign a 5-year extension with Collingwood, and your dad's your manager who actually signs this, which is pretty cool within itself. How was your relationship, I guess, towards the end of Mick Malthouse's career, and what were some of the, I guess, the life lessons you learned from him? Because he's such a person in the
Mick's a father figure, and this is the way he coached. He earned the respect of you as a player, but also as a person. But he wanted it back tenfold. Like, you respected him as a person. So Mick played with my father for many years at Richmond. So I knew who he was and what he stood for. I knew his shortcuts too as a player. Like, he used to jump on the tram when they used to do the 10 and like cut half the track off. Yeah, Mick was a sneaky bastard. So I knew this type of stuff, but I knew what he stood for. And we were really respectful of my work ethic and what I thought I deserved, and vice versa. He really looked after me as a person. He gave me an opportunity. So I always have the utmost respect for Mick and his family, and still do. When we don't talk enough, but when we do, it's like we saw each other yesterday, and I guess that's the friendships that you build. So I was sad when he moved on, but I knew what the club was doing and how they were going about it. Like, obviously Bucks, I had him as a player, as my captain. I had him as my forwards coach. Then all of a sudden I have him as a senior coach, and now I have him as a friend. Yeah, we still talk, probably not as regular as we should also, but it's like we saw each other last week. A message here and there, social media text here and there. We still talk, and that's what footy's about. It's like building lifelong friends.
There is, I feel like there's a bit of like a community within the footy world of like people who have had these experiences and similar ones. And I want to ask this because there's rumor that Mick Malthouse tried to get you over to Carlton. Is that true?
It didn't really. He obviously asked a question, but
was it GWS was going for you too?
There's a couple. I was in that stage where like I don't like traveling. I hate sitting on planes. Yep. There was an offer from one of the Western suburbs teams to go, and we use that as a bit of leverage. The club I'm working at now too. Like
I've been there with Brisbane.
We did utilise this club here too. A good friend of mine in the family worked in recruiting. Might have been Adrian. We have a joke about it still. Now we cross paths in the corridor and he's like, "You owe me." I was like, "I'll get you." I know, but yeah, that's the beauty of it. And like even now, I look at like players when they negotiate these contracts, and we are so outlandish that Brodie Grundy signs a 9-year deal. I was like, well, to be honest, the club committed to it too. So I get disappointed with the media of like we hang players out to dry with this, but it's exactly what I did 10 years ago, and I was extra excited because I was going for a 5-year contract. Now 5 years is like the 2-year contract. It's the base minimum. So
and if anyone had the opportunity, they'd sign that contract in a heartbeat too.
Yeah, and like we weren't talking about 20 cents here. Like we're talking about some good money here that were lifelong decisions to set up, and I was willing to take a financial pay cut to stay at Collingwood. Yeah. And like people go, "Oh, what's a pay cut?" Well, a pay cut's $10,000 or it might be $1 million. It's still a pay cut. It's different. It's like we're probably looking in the north of the other one, but it wasn't going to change my life at the time, and still wasn't going to change my life now. Like what I did in footy helped me with the transition of learning and developing for 3 years away from probably having a job. Yeah. So I was thankful. I was never going to leave. Did I think I was going to even go to the Western Bulldogs? No, I didn't. I wanted to be a one-club player, but if I didn't try something new, I would have always had that regret. Yeah. And now I don't have any regrets by trying that 12 months at the Dogs.
Yeah. I want to go back to Malthouse getting the sack, move on to Bucks, who was a teammate of yours. How was it having a teammate that would turn into an assistant coach, into a head coach?
I had teammates turn to assistants, but not to a senior. So it's definitely different. Was our relationship pushed through parts of it? Bloody oath it was. Like I remember 16, like having conversations with Bucks that I'd never had before. Yeah. And literally sitting down with coffee with him and telling him, I was like, "Mate, I'm at the end of this season, I'm leaving." And he was like, "But why? And what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, if I don't try, I'm going to retire today." So he knew what I was wanting to do and why I was doing it. It wasn't because I was bitter at the club or pissed off. It was because I was trying to find the love for footy again and that competitiveness. So if I didn't do it, I would have been annoyed with myself. And that's probably the outside noise. People didn't realise this. My relationship with Mick and Bucks wasn't tethered the whole way through. Yeah. Our conversations changed because it became not just personal, it became business. Yep. And personal was we always knew where we stood that way. But when you talk business sometimes and you've got a personal relationship, you can take offense. We never did. Yep. And still to this day now, like Bucks challenges me on certain things or opinions that I might have, but it's not because I disrespect him or disrespect me. It's because it is for the betterment of us. Yep. If I'm not getting challenged on a daily basis, like am I really growing or learning? No. So I respect the opinion. And to be honest, like Bucks taught me so much as a player, as an assistant coach, but also as a head coach, but also as a friend. And like I think we as footballers and athletes, we forget how much people can teach you as a friend. We're young boys going into this world of footy. I was a 17-year-old, never had a job before. Crazy. Footy is my first job, and I get to the age of 30, I've never had a job. I'm like, well, what do I do? And here I am now still working in footy. Like it's a dream, but it's not a reality. I still want to be a fireman. That's dreams you have as a kid, but I still want to do that. Like, is that something I do down the line? Like, I still want to do that, bloody oath. Is it in 2 years' time or 5 years or 10 years? I don't know, but it's definitely somewhere on my plan I want to do.
That's so good. I could see you being a fiery, actually.
Take the hat off, you know.
Let's go, boys.
Good to
just see you just sliding down that pole, just cruising.
Oiled up, you know. No, come on, mate. I wouldn't do that.
Is there a pole in the new house? That's all I want to know.
Tell me one story.
Becky installed a pole in the new house just for you.
There is nothing fancy. It's just necessities, mate.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we'll go into the next kind of phase. Buck's a great man. Love him to death. Like, and he's an incredible human. Speaks so well. I think people don't realize how well he speaks and how well he's articulated in what he talks about. You get the move to the Bulldogs. Luke Bev. How was the transition from Bucks to Bev? Was it very different kinds of coaching? I had
Bevo as an assistant coach like in 05 or 06 or something at Collingwood. So, and to be honest, I only had him for like 12, 18 months and didn't really get to know him too much. It was just, he floated in and out. I met with him in 16, probably middle of the year when I kind of, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to move on. I met with a few different AFL clubs and senior coaches, probably had 4 or 5 from other clubs. Bevo was the one that stood out to me most. Yeah, his relationships, his connection piece, his philosophy of what he wanted out of this team. And to be honest, when I was making this decision, I didn't want to go to another Collingwood. So Richmond, Carlton, like these type of clubs, the big clubs. I wanted someone small and go under the radar and just enjoy the twilight of my career.
Yeah.
So I met with Bevo, I shared stories and talked with him, and you know what, we handshaked and said, yep, done, let's do this end of the year. And this is like August before the finals.
Yeah. It's crazy how like you can still be in season and they're having conversations behind doors.
Mate, 2016, Dogs win the grand final.
Yeah.
So I remember each week of the final, Bevo's calling me, he's like, we'll catch up next week, Trav. And I was like, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, the Dogs just won the granny. I'm just like, shit. Like, the one thing I didn't want to go to was the big club.
Big club, yep.
Here's Western Bulldogs, never won a flag in 50-something years. They win the flag, and I'm walking into the door. I was like, in my head, I was like, this is not what I want. But the club was so good. Like, I really loved it. The people there, what it stood for, their values. I genuinely had the love for footy again, but I got injured. Like, that's just what footy does. Footy gods get in the way. But Bevo, he was different. He rocked up like one day in his Timberlands, his flannel. He was on a skateboard. Like, could I imagine Bucks doing that? No, I couldn't. No, like I couldn't. But I guess now, like, I've learned so much from those two men of like who they are and what they stood for.
Yeah.
And now that's who I am now. It's like, I want to be authentic. And those two guys are extremely authentic. Like Bevo grows the most amazing like mows now. I'm just like, this is a fantastic. Like, it's so good to see. So I respect them for different ways. I'm thankful for the Dogs and obviously for Bevo for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah.
Did it work out? Probably not. But at the same time, none of us really lost or we really gained anything.
Yeah.
It's just an opportunity.
You got enjoyment out of it, and that's the important thing.
Yeah. I freed up some money for the pies, all right? I looked after them.
God, didn't go into my contract, unfortunately.
No, don't worry about that.
Well, talk about this game, because I want to talk about the game. You played the Collingwood Football Club. You kicked one from outside 50 on Reid, as you mentioned. Feeling of that, like...
Well, let's go back one more.
So much history.
We have never played Western Bulldogs in round one, ever. I get traded, leave, whatever you want to say to the Dogs.
Grand final of them winning too, and that's the biggest story.
Round one, we play pies. Well, I'm just like, when this came in, I was like, you're trying to tell me this is not a publicity stunt? So,
typical AFL.
But in my head, I was like, it's probably the best thing to do. Like, you get over and done with. You're not waiting to round 5, round 6, round 7, like whatever. Yeah. So it was good. I enjoyed it. It was definitely strange. Like, the guys that were playing, I knew them all intimately. Like, I knew everything about everyone. I'm still learning my teammates. Like, and that's the weird thing. But it was really nice to play against Reid. Like, to be honest, we'd trained on each other for 10 years plus. Yeah. So I knew everything about him. He knew everything about me. Like, did we both have great games? No, we didn't. But there was obviously the one moment that kicked the goal. So if it didn't happen, would there be regrets? Probably. It's just a nice little story now. We can sit back and have a laugh. But as I said, it's a little reminder I give to Reid every so often. We catch up for dinner. I just airdrop it across. I don't send it to him, airdrop it. So he has to accept it.
He has to accept it.
He pings up on his phone. So it's strategic. Don't get me wrong. But it's got like the Titanic music to it now on the YouTube.
Oh, you've really just hammed it up, haven't you?
Someone's got too much time in their hands.
Saved in the favourites, ready to go whenever you need to pull it out.
I know, it's the first search that comes up.
Search that comes up.
But yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. There was talk at all or not?
There was definitely some moments in the game from a couple of past players that said some things where I probably should have pulled them up at the time. But that's footy. Like, it's competitive. Things get exchanged in the moment. Has it changed some relationships over people? Bloody oath it did. Yeah. My opinions of like a 2-minute or a 1-minute thing that somebody might have said on the field is like, it changed 10 years of my perspective of them. Yeah, 100% it did. And our friendships with certain individuals aren't the same colour of it, but it's not going to change who I am. I'm not going to, when I see that person, it's not going to make me change who they are. Like, I'll say hi to them and acknowledge them, and we're probably just not going to be close and go on holidays like we used to. That's all.
Yeah. You look back at your career, who's the people you're closest with? I know you've got like Tubes and Goldie and some
like
of those
the
boys.
Beaks, like I know this was talked about, like Cam Wood, Alan Tooby and Tyson Goldsack. We were close when we played. I still talk to Goldie all the time. He's obviously living in Adelaide. Same with Cam Wood, but different ones too, like Geordie De Goey. Like we're 8 years different in age, but when he came through, like I spent a lot of time with him. I have the utmost respect for him. He came and hung out with my family and my daughters and my wife. And then Brodie Grundy, the same thing. Like when he got drafted, he pretty much lived at my house for the first couple of months. So like he's just what he did, and he literally ate me out of house and home. Like he's the biggest eater, bro.
He's the biggest eater, eh?
I used to come home some days from training. He's just like sitting on the couch. I'm like, what are you doing? But that's bros, and like it's our
3 ice creams going.
Yeah, it's our relationship we have now. Like I love him for it, and even when he moved on to the D's, I literally said to him, I was like, this is the best thing for you, mate. Like, don't worry, relevant at footy, like this is the best thing for you, and he's really loving it. I still talk to Pendles, like not a lot, but when we talk, it's got meaning behind it. Like we spent so many years together.
Yeah.
it's probably the players that have moved on now that we talk to like a bit more. You cross paths with, and as I said, like that Premiership team of 2010, we catch up each year. That is the best day in the calendar.
Yeah.
Obviously, apart from my children's birthdays, my wife's birthdays, my anniversary, that catch up, all right?
Way to save it. Way to save it, Trav. You really dug yourself out there. I can see it in your head. Wait, hold on. I need to say something else here.
But it's like, I love it because like last year I only went for like 2 hours, but it was enough. I was in there, out, saw him, had a feed, and I had to go and do a couple other things.
Oh, good.
So I look forward.
Get loose on those reunions?
Sometimes. Like that was the first one we've had in like 4 years. So
like Goldie would bring a nice drop of vino. Well,
normally you got to bring a bottle. You got to bring a bottle of something, and it's a share thing we do, and that's just what it is. So yeah, a few boys flex their muscles with a few different bottles. Some carry on a bit longer than others. Maxie cut his hand open like 5 minutes into the day, like trying to open a bottle and being a big dick. So it was kind of funny because we spent the whole day potting him in a WhatsApp group because he was in hospital having surgery. So it's ongoing. But even like this WhatsApp, we have a WhatsApp group with it, the chat. It goes all year. There's always random things put in there. We're taking the piss out of one another. We're encouraging one another. Or if it's a business opportunity or someone's new business, they share and we get around and support. Yeah. So it's a really cool little community we got now. I think we had like 17 or 18 of the boys rock up to that one last year. Staff members that were really influential in that period as well show up as well. Mick normally comes and has dinner or lunch. Same with Eddie. Like people go, their relationship must be tethered. Eddie drove Mick home on this commitment like last year. So like, is their relationship tethered? I don't think so. But it's just perspective. It's all a story for most people.
Any tight asses? I've heard there's a few
Mick's a tight ass.
Yeah, I've heard this. I heard Mick once tried to get a receipt for like 50 cents worth of ice so you could claim it on taxes.
I have heard this. I haven't seen it.
Mick, by the way, if you're listening to this, I feel like you would absolutely murder my ass. These are rumors I've heard over the years.
Yeah, like rumors are grouse, man. Like you got to make, and like, they got to get stories and get legs and go further. I believe it did happen. I don't know if it's 50 cents, maybe it's $3.50. I don't know, but there's different stories with Mick and other individuals. Like the more you get paid, the more tight you become. Yeah. This is my philosophy. Yeah. Some of the people I know that got paid big bucks their whole career. You go for lunch, I don't have my card with me. I can't pay for a coffee. I'm like, mate, it's a $3.50 and a $10 sandwich. Like $15 not going to break your bank. All right? Like, why? But it's the same bloke, Reid. Like, always known, I don't have my wallet. I was like, mate, this is why you get your phone now, mate. Your card's on that. Like, you've always got your phone. I know that, Reid. I haven't paid it yet. I'm like, come on. I'll buy you lunch. He came to my house like 2 months ago. Yeah. He had a wedding in the winery country of the Yarra Valley. He came to mine and he's like, I'll pop in, I'll have lunch. Yeah, cool. Couple of bottles of red, a cheese plate. Oh, I'm just going to go. I was like, Reid, you want to fix up lunch? He's like, no, you got it. I was like, nothing's changed, has it?
Nothing's changed.
But yeah, footballers are tight asses. Like they want free shit, like any restaurant, car deals, clothing deals. Like we all want it. And then all of a sudden, it to be honest, it doesn't stop. They still give you free shit. But yeah, I've seen some of the best, mate, and it will continue.
So how was the transition out of football? You're now doing the VFLW with Essen. You're doing some coaching with the men's side and stuff like that. And how are you enjoying it now? Like I know you're kind of at peace with everything that's happened over the years, and you're in this really exciting, I think, like happy time of your life.
7 years post-retiring. Like I'm 36, so it's gone quick. For the first couple of years, I to be honest, I didn't work. I literally had 2 years off because I wanted to. My daughter was born. I wanted to spend time with her and be present. Yeah. In that, I did a couple of days here and there, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I technically went on work placement. Yeah. I went to New Zealand with this National Australian Academy of the AFL, and that was kind of the moment where I was like, shit, I really like development. I love footy, but it's a different side. Like I really want to work with the younger generations, the next phase of what footy could be. And from that, Collingwood did reach out and said, can you come run our national academies, our NGAs, our father-son, work in some women? So I was like, yeah, you know what? Wicked. Yeah. I didn't do it for the money. Like, to be honest, I could have stayed home and probably made more money, but I did it because I wanted to learn and find out what I want to do in this next phase. So I did it. COVID hit. We looked at relocating to Queensland. My wife and I, in this stage, obviously we were pregnant with a youngest, Archer. Becky gave birth and really struggled with that transition of COVID and becoming mum for the second time. Right. So we relocated to Queensland. We did 2 weeks quarantine in a hotel. Wow. On day 11 or day 12, I got a call from the AFL saying, mate, come back to Melbourne. We've got a job for you in the NAB League running Eastern Rangers. And I literally said, I was like, you got to give me a couple of weeks here because we're looking at a house tomorrow when we get out and all this. And they're like, no probs. We stayed in Queensland for 3 months. I did accept the job, but I was like, I'm coming back at Chrissy. I'm not coming back now because we'd done the 2-week quarantine. I was like, we're not wasting this.
Nah.
But no, it was been a blessing. I thoroughly enjoyed the last 2 years working for the AFL and the Eastern Rangers and the NAB League, working with boys and girls from 16 through to 18. From that, I got to learn different processes, do things my way, program, plan, put training plan, things I didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
So I went on like 6-year work placement. Last November, I took a role here at the Essendon Footy Club. Like, was I nervous? Bloody oath. It's like, this is the enemy for so many years. But it's been the best thing. Like, good people I work with. I've joined a coaching staff that are technically new. Brad Scott takes a role. He coached me back in my early days at the Pies, left me with a motto, and I've stuck with this through my now coaching careers. Never forget what it's like to be a player.
Yep.
To be a player, it's extremely hard. To be a coach, it's easy. As a coach, you demand so much from your players with recovery, execution, physical attention, with just time as well from your family. So now as what I'm doing on the other side, I really had that front of mind. Yeah. Blake Carousara, I played with him. He was also my coach. Now he's our defensive coach here. Dale Tapping was my coach at Collingwood as well.
How's he going, by the way?
As a forward.
I know he's had some help.
He's doing well. Yeah. He's in a good mind. He's still nice and tanned all over, so I still believe he's got a solarium at home. He says no, I say yes. We'll wait and see till we see him next. Yeah. And then Daniel Jerry in Syracuse, like I had him at the Dogs as well for 12 months. And to be honest, I learnt so much at him in that 12 months. So to come here with 4 coaches I've technically worked with in my career has been outstanding. And then to have a footy ops or a GM or footy of Josh Marnie, he's been outstanding for me. Like he was the person that really made me want to come across to take this role. And he's been almost my number one supporter that I've made mistakes in this program, working with women's of how do you educate and progress them through, but we're taking step backs. But he's always been there to make sure I stay true to who I am too, the way I do it and the way I teach.
Yep.
But it's been a beauty. I get to work with the men and do the things I know well. Body work, aerial mark, contested mark. Like I could do with my eyes closed. So I teach them that. And then I get to sit behind a computer and program and plan and code for my women's program.
Yeah.
And now we're getting the results that I thought we would have, but maybe in round 1, we're getting them now. Yeah, so it's been a bit of a learning for me of that next transition, but life's good. Footy's good and still always will be, but it's not going to be my number one priority forever.
Yeah.
Family is that.
Yeah.
And whenever I now look back at like what does my footy journey look like, I miss the family connection in my when I was playing. So now as a coach or a mentor, I'm front of mind. I want to be there with my kids in the morning, make sure I'm there where I can for bed and bath time. Knowing I work with programs after hours, it is hard, but I obviously a supportive wife at home with Becky. Some days it gets a bit hard. Right at the moment, it's getting extremely hard. We are living in a caravan. So 2 kids and a wife in a caravan is tough, but it's a short-term pain for the greater good of a renovated property in the near future.
So how many horses and animals you got?
Don't get me started.
Every time I talk to you, you're either on the tractor with the kids sitting in front of you.
Mate, I left today to come to work and Becky had 2 horses on the float. One was hers, but one was coming another one to our property. So
to buy?
She just bought another one a couple of months ago, but one did go out, but she bought another one back.
Do you know
home.
the names of all these? Or you just get to the point where you're kind of like, there's another horse on the property.
One called Boo, Teddy, Cameo. No, to be honest, I've got a couple. But I got a couple of cows too. I got a sheep, got some turtles, guinea pigs, chickens, ducks.
What's your
dogs. Favorite? My mini Highlands. Huh? So they're cows. Mini Highlands, so they're shaggy ones with horns, but they're only like waist height.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think they're pregnant at the moment. So 9 months' time from now, I should have some baby calves. Whoa. And that's what I'm excited about.
The kids weren't enough. You needed some more babies.
No, these things, man. I'm done with kids. 2's enough. I'm really happy. Becky would like another. But baby cows, man. When they're born, that's when you're coming out, mates, to the farm. You're going to see them. And I reckon you'll be living in town with a little baby calf next year, man. Little cow going along.
Was it Rob Dyrdek?
Yeah.
the miniature horse?
Fun Factory, man. It's grouse. I love that show. But it's
big.
I lived in Richmond, Cremorne, like concrete jungle for 5 years. Lived in Richmond for Kew for another 6 years.
You used to have a Hummer in Cremorne.
Yeah.
I remember this thing. Someone told me this is like the most worst car you could possibly have in the city. You're like, you know what? I'm driving a Hummer around. I don't care.
I could reverse park that and put that between anything, and I still can. It's actually mum and dad's place still.
Yeah.
I might have gone a big car again now, but I don't live in town now, so I can take up as much room as I want these days.
Oh, good. And you still got the motorcycles?
No, bikes are all gone. I'm on the dirt bikes now, not road bikes. I just didn't have time to ride them. They'll sit in the garage getting dirty. Becky was cracking the shits because I never used them. So I got rid of them. She got another horse. I got a dirt bike, and the dirt bike sits there as well. So It's just what life does, mate. You become a father, you buy land, you mow. I got 2 lawnmowers now, mate. Like,
That's what mine. The bike, the Harley for the new John Deere.
I've got a tractor too, mate. Don't worry about it. Don't start with me. I've got all the gear and no idea. Right?
You're on a good start though. That's what matters.
Everything's going all right. Like, it's beautiful, mate. Life's good. My grass is nice and green and maintained. The animals are happy. The house is getting done. The kids are healthy. Becky and I are surviving in a van, so life's all right, mate.
It sounds like it's going well, man. We'll end it at that. I'm glad to hear that life is good. The girls are they're going well, and the kiddos are good, and the family's all right, and you're in a happy place, man, because that's what's important.
All the best for the rest of the year, mate. Come down and support our girls program. I know it's the opposition. We're 5 on the trot. We've had 5 wins.
5 on the trot?
Yeah, man.
A little shout to Aston VFL.
Come watch our girls play one day. Who knows? Maybe one day you want to work in women's footy.
Maybe I'll be assistant coach to Travis Cloke.
No, I don't want you. Everything you know, I taught you, all right? Exactly. You can't teach me anything else.
There's no crossover here. Too easy, legend. I appreciate you coming on. An absolute legend that is Travis Cloke, and a great chat.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks, buddy.